Hi everyone. Shit. I know I early in the week I made a post sort of with a poll with different categories that people could sort of vote on as to what my next live video would be about, and a lot of people did vote for drug addiction. However, given recent events, I feel more compelled to talk about pedophiles. Um, as most of you may know, I hope by now, the guy, the monster, who raped me between the ages of 9/11 and 11. 9/11. Oh my god. Sorry. The pedophile who molested me between the ages of 9 and 11 was arrested yesterday. I went to the police station to identify him. Um, it was surprisingly not as traumatic as I thought it would be. Um, I think because I've played it so many times in my head of how I would be the next time I saw him, like what would that interaction be like, how I would feel, how I would behave, what I would say. And the reality sort of just was a bit anticlimactic, because in my head, this man is this massive monster. But I guess size is a comparative. When I was 9, I was considerably smaller than I am now, believe it or not. And so yeah, to me, he was this large, sort of larger than life character that just tormented me in my nightmares for the last however many 17 odd years. And then the reality, he was just this sort of pathetic looking um, apologetic man, not even a man, who just looked like he'd just seen a fucking ghost, to be honest. And all of the things I thought I was going to say when I saw him, I didn't say. Um, well, I was just like, that's him, sort of like, get me out of here now. Um, but I am proud of myself for doing that. I really am. When I first started sharing my story um, last year, I didn't know, I didn't know how I wanted it to transpire. I knew that I had all of this trauma, and I had all of this anger and so much. I felt like the world had done me wrong and people had failed me, and I wanted justice, and I was just so gung ho. Um, and then in reality, I just felt like it's important to practice what you preach. And for me to tell everyone to stand and fight when I'm not fighting would be hypocritical. So I fought. I fought for my own justice. And I've seen a small piece of that now. A lot of people have messaged me to say, thank God that your fight is over, and like you finally got him in jail, you have your freedom now, you can move on. Justice for me um, ceased to be possible many years ago. The damage has been done. Essentially, that is how I view it. I do not tell my story so people can feel sorry for me, as much as I do appreciate people's empathy. I don't want people to say that they're sorry for what I've been through and how heartbreaking it is. I don't want people to be sad when they hear my story. I want them to get angry. That is why I share, and I share in such graphic detail and with such emotion. I want you to get angry, not for what has happened to me, but because it's still happening. That's what makes me angry. That's the justice I fight for. So no, I'm not punishing this man for raping me 17 years ago. I'm making sure that he does not have the opportunity to do that to anyone else. And I feel that every victim deserves to see their abuser on the other side of a prison cell. And I will not stop until everyone has that opportunity to see their abuser on the other side, because these people should not be walking around among us. It's ridiculous. It's an absolute abomination that perpetrators of sexual abuse, especially towards children, are getting away with it. And that makes me angry. I am not sad for myself. I've never been sad for myself. What happened to me happened, and it's over. I am angry for our children now. I'm angry for the system now. I'm angry for the people I'm angry for the child who goes to bed every night with my story. And I want to stop that from happening. So that's basically, in a nutshell, my story. And now I just wanted to address this ridiculous notion that pedophilia is a sexual orientation. I think living in a world right now where I'm still being applauded for bravery because it's difficult for victims to speak up still. Victims are being shamed still. Victims are being called liars still. And when you're in a climate where a victim cannot share their story without fear of shame or judgment, how dare the perpetrators now look for sympathy? Pedophilia is not a sexual orientation. You are sick. You need help. It's just... it baffles my mind. I cannot understand. I cannot understand the audacity of these people to believe that they're deserving of sympathy. They need help. That's as much sympathy as you'll get from me. You are sick and you need help. You do not deserve acceptance. You're not worthy of acceptance. Acceptance should be what we're extending to the victims, saying we understand that we as a society have failed you, that this would happen to you. Please don't be afraid to come forward. We will hear your story and we will fight for your justice. That is who deserves a voice and acceptance and sympathy, not these fucking monsters who actually now even have the audacity to say that children are able to consent. This is what I read the other day. Children are able to consent and they're able to enjoy sex from as early as like 5 or 4, some ridiculous age, as long as it's explained to them and they understand what's going on. Here's how this statement is incredibly problematic. As a victim who was groomed and molested by a pedophile, I suffered a lot of guilt, which I believe contributed to my extended silence. I felt like it was my fault. I felt like I had asked for it. I felt like I was complicit. I felt like I was equally to blame as he was, because obviously the grooming process is set in a way to make you feel like you're complicit. Because if you feel like you're a part of this bad thing, you're obviously not going to tell anyone because you'll get in trouble as well. Well done to predators. Congratulations, you've outsmarted a 7-year-old. But children cannot consent. If a child can consent, then explain why I am so damaged, despite giving my consent between the ages of 9 and 11. Why did I grow into an adult, finally be able to process what you did to me, and then realize how violated I felt by it? If I consented, wouldn't I still be okay with what you did? Like, wouldn't it be fine? Obviously not. And the second reason why the statement is problematic is because, yes, it's taken me 17 years to tell my story. It hasn't been easy. I'm grateful that I have supportive brothers who've been by my side through this. However, imagine after 17 years of suffering with this nightmare, I finally speak up, only to have that piece of shit turn around and say I consented. Can you see how problematic that is? Can you see how much more difficult it will be for victims to speak up? Like, it's just, oh my God. It makes me so mad, actually. It makes me angry. I don't understand why these people are even being given a platform to speak. They don't deserve voices. Their victims deserve voices. So stop silencing the wrong people and giving like fucking maps or whatever minor attracted people any form of like pedestal, or don't entertain it. Don't even entertain it when people are trying to tell you that this is a sexual orientation. Like, what is rape also a sexual orientation? I'm sorry, I just prefer my sexual partners to be non-consensual. I'm rape sexual. Is that going to be a thing as well? I'm trying not to get too mad because this is an educational video, and speaking as a victim, speaking as someone who knows many victims of this, speaking as someone who has been inboxed by multiple women who are still, many years later, too afraid to tell their stories for fear of judgment. And again, I just want to say to the victims, you do not need to feel ashamed of a crime that you did not commit. It had nothing to do with you. You were maybe in the wrong place, wrong time, wrong family, wrong age. It had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with the sick fuck who did this to you. And just because a sick person did sick things to you does not mean that you are sick. Let me tell you that again. Just because a sick person did sick things to you does not mean that you are sick. And we need to liberate ourselves from this. I feel so, when people say I'm brave for telling my story, I'm like, I told the story of my whole life with the same amount of whatever. This is what happened to me. It doesn't, I don't feel brave for saying that. I feel angry that people think it should be a brave thing. It should be the norm. Like, hey, that man stole my wallet, and by the way, that man raped me as well. Can you just arrest them in one go? Or, you know, so I hope I've managed to get my point across about pedophilia. I am feeling a lot lighter today. After I feel like just a little bit of justice has been done in my case. I'm very happy to see that man behind bars. I hope with every fiber of my being that the stories I hear of what happens to pedophiles in prison are true. And yeah, never be afraid to speak your truth. Pedophilia is not a sexual orientation. It's a crime. Can't believe I actually have to say that, but there we go. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day further. Thank you. How do I? Sorry. Thanks. It's not ending.